Welcome back. Today we are graphing cubic functions. For our first graph, we're going to just graph the parent, which is x cubed. And the numbers that I'm going to use are -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So, and x cubed, if I put -2 into x cubed, I get -8. This is going to be -1 will be -1, 0 will be 0, 1 will be 1, and 2 will be 8. So if I go and graph that, I will have okay, so I'm going to go to 0, 0 on the graph, and then if I go to 1, we'll have 1, and 2 will be 8, and then -1 will be -1, and 2 will be -8. The graph of the cubic function looks something like this. Okay, so now let's talk about graphing these functions with different translations and different stretches, both vertically and horizontally. Okay, so the next problem. So for our next problem, we're going to graph y equals x minus 2 cubed plus 1. So let's draw our graph. And if we add 2 right here on the t-chart, it's going to make it 8, and eventually that's going to fall off the graph. So I'm okay if you do these 3 points, -1, 0, 1. So if you plug in -1, we're only going to do x cubed. Remember, our parent function is -1 will be a -1, 0 will be 0, and 1 cubed will be 1. But then we're going to translate it. So what we're going to do is let's remember. So remember that this left-hand column right here is for stuff that we need to memorize or study when we are getting ready for a quiz or a test. And this 2 right here means that we're going to shift the graph right 2, and then we're going to shift the graph up 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot our graph. So this is 0, 0, and 1, 1, and now we're going to shift all of these points right 2, up 1. So let's go. I like to start with a 0, because then I know where my the middle of my graph is. So this one's going to be right 2, up 1, right here, and this one's going to be right 2, up 1. Okay, and so now I'm going to just draw my graph, remembering that the graph goes up and then to the right. Okay, so there's our graph with translation. Okay, now just remember we have to be able to use the translation. Notice that what I did was I took the translation out, and then I graphed this y equals x cubed. Okay, so that made it easier just to use my -1, 0, 1 right here really quickly, and then just shift all the points over to their proper location. Okay, let's go on. Next, let's try 1/2 x cubed. Now, after the x cubed, I know I'm going to have to do divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. So I want numbers that are going to work well with that. If I pick -1, like we've been doing, I'm going to have a number of a y that equals 1/2. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. 1/2 is not hard to do. But generally, I mean, just given whatever fraction I have, if I pick a number that will divide into a whole number, then I'll have some better numbers that are easier to graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 2, or excuse me, -2. Remember that this x cubed is always going to make a negative. It's not always going to be a positive. And so I have to pick a negative number and a positive number. Okay? So if I pick -2 and plug this into x cubed, that'll give me -8. But -8 divided by 2, because I got to include the 1/2, is going to be -4. Again, 0 is just going to be 0, so we're good with that. And the 2 is going to be a +8 when you plug it into x cubed. And so if I divide by 2, that's going to be +4. Okay? This number right here that's in front of the x squared is known as the vertical stretch, or compression for that matter. Okay? So if it's less than 1, it's going to be a compression. If it's greater than 1, it's going to be a stretch. Okay? So this is vertical stretch or compression. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our graph. Okay. There's no translation on this, so we're just going to do 0, 0. 2, +4 here, 2, -4 here, and then draw the graph. Okay? Alright, so let's go on and do one where we have a horizontal stretch and compression. So for our next problem, we're going to do something that has a horizontal stretch. And we're doing 1/2 x cubed. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some numbers that will work with the 1/2. Okay? Now, I have to pick something that will divide by 1/2 first and then cube it. See, in the last problem we didn't do that. Okay? It was a little bit different. So I'm going to pick, if you pick 1, then you're going to get 1/2. I don't want 1/2. But if I pick 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 cubed is 1. That's going to make this graph a whole lot easier. And I'm going to do the -2 as well. And that'll give me -1. Okay? So you plug in -2, you multiply times 1/2, which is essentially dividing by 2, and you get -1. And when you cube it, you also get -1. 0 is going to remain 0. Okay? So now I'm going to go plot. So I've got -2 and 2. So -2, comma, -1, 0, 0, and 2, comma, 1. Notice that now it's kind of wider, okay? Also, this is a horizontal stretch or compression with the 1/2 inside of the parentheses, okay? And we'll talk about that later, like which one makes it stretch and which one makes it compression, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my graph. And then we're done with that one. And that's it for this video. Check out the next video because we are going to graph cubics and cube root equations. Alright, thanks for watching.